welcome everybody to the CCIR Academy info session for the fall 2023 programs. My name is Oliver, and I take that the main purpose of this info session will today be to give you guys a little bit more information about what CCIR does, the nature of our programs, how to apply, and so on and so forth. We'll be covering 5 main things today in this info session. We'll talk a little bit about CCIR as a whole. We'll dive into sort of an overview of CCIR Academy, what we're doing there, what makes us distinctive. And from there, we'll be moving into the nitty-gritty of the 2 programs that we offer, the Future Scholar program and the one-on-one research mentorship. Towards the very end, I'll open up the floor for Q&A. So if you have any questions in the meantime, feel free to pop them in the chat. But otherwise, let us forge ahead. So at the core of what we do here at CCIR is that we are trying to build various kinds of bridges between academia and the broader public. If you're interested in the work that we do outside of our 2 core online research mentorship programs, I encourage you guys to explore the website, to look at our Instagram page, both of which have a great deal of information about our ongoing projects, everything from our podcasts, public lecture initiatives, policy-thons, essay competitions, and so on. If any of that is something that you're interested in, I encourage you guys to explore our website. But I take it that today, the main thing that we're here for is to learn a little bit more about CCIR Academy, what makes us distinctive, and why perhaps you guys should apply to our programs. So at CCIR Academy, what we're trying to do is build a platform where gifted high school students, as well as undergraduates, get an opportunity to work in an intimate online setting with some of the leading faculty and researchers around the world, to learn a little bit about research, dive into their passions, and explore the potentialities of academic research. To this end, we've designed 2 general programs, one called the Future Scholar and one called the one-on-one research mentorship. The Future Scholar is a small group research program that we run 3 times a year, whereas the one-on-one program is an ongoing program that we run throughout the year. For both of these programs, however, we maintain rigorous standards in terms of both our admissions and our academics. We make sure that we're working exclusively with some of the best faculty around the world. And beyond this, we provide a huge amount of support for our students in terms of helping them showcase themselves and develop themselves as young scholars. So when we say that we work exclusively with some of the best faculty in the world, we mean that most of our faculty are coming from these 10 universities. Oxford, Cambridge remain sort of our home base. And so roughly 60 to 70% of all our faculty come from Oxford. The remainder come from a real smattering of top 20, top 30 US schools, as well as QS university schools. We're really working with faculty who are at the cutting edge of their field. And this is going to be one of the reasons why we place such a huge emphasis on the rigor of our admissions system. One thing that we see our students do routinely through our program is take the final project that they develop through our program towards various kinds of showcasing venues. Over the years, we've therefore developed a system whereby we've really developed a system in order to support our students as they embark on this showcasing process. This system is something we like to call the Targeted Publication Support System. And the basic idea here is that for every student that comes into our program, we will dedicate staff members and time to help them explore how to showcase and where to showcase their work during and after the program ends for them. What this means is that by week 6 or 7, as you're developing your project, our staff members will be checking in with you and with your mentor to get a sense of what you might be interested in doing with your project and what levels of showcasing might be appropriate for you. We have built a 300 to 400 venue-wide publication database over the past few years. And the basic idea here is through this process of evaluating where students stand, what faculty think students are capable of achieving, Drawing then on our publication database, we can target specific students to specific venues so that they may have the highest chance of actually getting their work externally validated by some showcasing body. As we've seen in the past few years, our students have had tremendous success in terms of their showcasing track record. We've had students routinely publish at highly prestigious undergraduate and graduate level conferences, workshops, and journals as high school students. And for our undergraduates, they have gone on to publish at even professional level and graduate level journals. Undoubtedly, one of the reasons why you guys are considering CCIR at this particular moment is surely in part in the interest of building your profile for the purposes of undergraduate and even graduate admissions. Especially for the high school students among the audience, you guys are in a especially competitive environment these days. And doing research has really become one of the core ways by which students now are seeking to set themselves apart from the crowd. What we've seen is that over the past few years, especially as we've seen the US admissions landscape transition into what's called the test optional admissions era, we've seen an incredible upsurge in interest in research programs such as our own. The reason why we think this is because in absence of SATs and ACTs, students now really need another way of showcasing themselves as excellent academic students. It's within this context that doing a research program like ours becomes really, really valuable. On the one hand, you're able to potentially secure a letter of reference from a leading academic. Keep in mind, we are not here in the business of selling letters of recommendations. All our letters of recommendations are going to be voluntarily produced by our faculty on the basis of their agreement. This ensures that our letters of recommendation have authenticity and have legitimate content built into them in each and every case. Beyond this, doing something like research, potentially even getting your project showcased at anything from a science fair to an essay competition to an undergraduate level conference is really going to be helpful for building your profile and showcasing yourself as a strong student. These are trends that we've seen across the board. For instance, we find that at UPenn, 30% of its most recent class of freshmen engaged in some form of high school research or another. Furthermore, we've found that Harvard, MIT, UPenn, Yale, and Columbia have all in recent years created dedicated guides for student researchers to submit their work at the level of undergraduate admissions. What we see is that these trends also get reflected in our own alumni admissions results. 42.9% of our US applying alumni went to top 10 US universities, while 32.2% of all our alumni went to global top 10 universities. Admittedly, these statistics are a little bit dated, as you can see. We are in the process of updating them, but we do routinely find that our students do exceptionally well among their peers in terms of undergraduate admissions. With all of that said, let's dive now into the nitty-gritty detail of the two programs. Beginning with the Future Scholar program. The Future Scholar program is our highly selective online 2 to 5 student research program designed and taught by some of the leading faculty around the world. This is a program we run 3 times a year, once in the spring, once in the summer, and once in the fall. The fall is the session that you guys are going to be looking at. And for this fall, we'll be releasing anywhere between, I believe, 70 to 80 different courses in everything from health economics to the philosophy of cognitive science to astrophysics. In each and every one of these courses, what we find is a small cohort of students being paired with one faculty mentor and one TA. The basic idea here is over the course of a 13-week program, students will be meeting every week with their TA and with their faculty and gradually building up a research project through this process. even though this is a group course, the goal here is to help each and every one of our students develop their own independent research papers through the intimate mentorship of the faculty and their teaching. Now, the way that different faculty will do this in different courses, depending on the disciplinary constraints, will differ. However, all of our courses will have a project-based component and will be research-oriented in precisely this way. So I won't spend too much time dwelling on the details of our courses. I encourage you guys to take a look at them, explore their detailed mentor biographies, as well as course abstracts. All of that can be found in the brochures and prospectus that you can download from the website. I won't spend too much time dwelling on these because there are, as you can see, 84 courses and 84 professors. So I encourage you guys to go to the website, download the brochures, and study that packet, because that's where you're going to find the most extensive information about what is being offered in the Future Scholar program and who is teaching. I will, however, give you guys a little bit of time here to at least sort of take a glance at what is currently here on offer. Okay, so admissions deadlines for the fall 2023 Future Scholar program is going to be October 1st and October 15th, respectively, for the regular and early admissions decisions. There are advantages to applying early. Decisions are ultimately made by the professors on a rolling basis, and given the small cohorts, early students get a real early bird advantage. The program itself will start in late October and early November. We will be taking a short Christmas break in between, and the program is expected, therefore, to end somewhere in February or March. The application process is actually quite simple. We have just recently set up a admissions portal, state-of-the-art online admissions portal, looks a lot like the Common App. You simply follow the instructions there and apply through that system. There is a detailed application guide that's available there with guidance as well on how to do the interview. I encourage everyone to go to the portal and download that guide and take a look at some of the information that's there. However, in outline, what we will be asking you is to fill out the application form, submit your transcript, along with any supplementary materials that you may want. These supplementary materials are optional and truly optional. And I will repeat, they are optional and truly optional, because I always get second and third questions about this. If you don't have an SAT, don't worry about it. If you don't have a writing sample, don't worry about it. I will encourage people to submit a CV, but it is, again, optional and truly optional. So if you don't have it, don't worry about it. However, for qualified students, you will be invited back to an interview. These interviews will be academically focused. So if you're applying to an economics course, you will be asked some economics questions. They will also be questions about why you're applying to this program, what you wish to do during your time here, and so on and so forth. In general, my advice to you for the interview is don't be too stressed out about it. The interview is as much a part of your admissions process as it is a process for us to get to know the incoming cohort of students. This way, we can calibrate the different courses at different levels. So if you are unable to answer a question during the interview, don't panic. It might not mean that you're simply eliminated. It might simply mean that they're going to readjust the level of difficulty of the course for the incoming cohort. Now, all our admissions decisions are ultimately made by our professors on the basis of all of the information that you provide in the earlier sections of the process. Okay. With that, let's quickly turn to the one-on-one program. The one-on-one program is, at its essence, very similar to the Future Scholar insofar as it's also project-based and research-focused. The main difference between the two programs is, of course, going to be the program structure, because here we have a one-to-one program where one student gets to work with one mentor on just one project. This introduces a huge amount of flexibility, both in terms of the content and the structure of the course. We work with 300 to 400 faculty across the aforementioned universities who could be able to work with you on anything from topological physics to 13th century Spanish monastic history. This wide network of faculty allows you to exploit a range of topics that is much wider than what is going to be currently on offer at the Future Scholar. So if there's nothing that's interesting to you in the 84 courses in the Future Scholar program, which I already think is somewhat unlikely, you can always find additional resources in the one-on-one by custom building a course for you, essentially. Furthermore, the one-on-one has the benefit of being a little bit more flexible in terms of its structure and its schedule. With its rolling admissions dates, it is both start date and schedule flexible. The way that this program works is that it's a 14 one-hour session package that students can flexibly structure and schedule according to their needs. This means you can do those 14 sessions over 10 weeks, 14 weeks, 20 weeks, depending on whether you want to slow it down, speed it up. We can simply readjust the program according to your liking. This is what we mean when we say that the one-on-one program really enables students to study exactly the way that they want, study exactly what they want in the way that they want. The admission system for the one-on-one is quite similar to the Future Scholar with two crucial differences. The first of which is that we require all incoming one-on-one students to schedule an intake meeting with us. In the intake meeting, the goal here is to give you some initial guidance on how to position yourself as you apply to the program. Because the way the one-on-one program works is by pairing you with specific mentors, we will be pitching each prospective student to specific mentors in order to see if they're willing to take on a specific mentee. We want to teach you how to position yourself at the application level. The admissions decisions, again, here, even more so than the Future Scholar, is not up to us. It is up to the professors themselves. On the basis of your application, then the subsequent steps are really quite similar. We take your application materials. Qualified students will then be invited back to an interview. And on the basis of the interview and the application materials, we will generate a profile for each and every student coming into the one-on-one program and circulate it with relevant faculty members. Once there's a nibble by some faculty members on this particular profile, we will set up an introductory meeting between the student and the faculty where they get to discuss a little bit about their expectations, their backgrounds, and their interests with regard to the program. And it's only then, after you've actually met the professor, that we will finally confirm your program on either end. This means that there's a lot of transparency throughout this process. You get to see who you're going to be paired with. You get to actually meet them before finally moving ahead. So this really helps us design the perfect one-on-one experience for everybody. A quick word about the admissions. On average, we maintain roughly a 20 to 25% admissions rate, especially in the spring and the fall. The summer is going to be a little bit lower than this 20% figure, but we're roughly maintaining here a 20% admissions rate. Our incoming students, again, are really brilliant. They are coming in with sort of average GPAs of 3.9 and 1510 SATs. If you don't have these scores, don't be too worried. We are very holistic in our evaluations. So we will be looking at your whole profile. And just because you fall below the 3.9 threshold doesn't mean you're automatically going to be rejected. Finally, let me talk a little bit about tuition and scholarship. For the Future Scholar program, the base tuition is $3,900 US. Roughly 40% of admitted students will be receiving some amount of merit-based scholarship between £100 to £300. This means that upwards of 10 to 20% of your final tuition can be covered by the merit-based scholarship. Merit-based scholarships are automatically applied for all incoming students, so this is nothing you have to apply for. In addition, we do offer need-aware financial aid for students facing economic hardship. This financial aid is extremely competitive and based off of merit and availability. The way it usually works is that we are usually gunning for a small number of full scholarships rather than a large number of small scholarships for the need-aware financial aid, which means that every year a small number of students will get full rides to the Future Scholar program. If you're interested in applying to the financial aid, I advise you guys to download the brochure once more and follow the instructions there. There are detailed guidelines there about what you need to do in order to secure financial aid, what sorts of materials we will need from you, none of which I will be covering here because those are fairly detailed and complicated processes that will be best visited on paper. With that said, let me say a quick word about the one-on-one research mentorship tuition. The tuition for this program is roughly going to be $5,950 to $6,600. This is going to be roughly the range of the final tuition based off of what ultimate scholarship and tuition package you receive. The financial aid option is not available for the one-on-one research mentorship, unfortunately. And so if financial constraints are more real for you, I will encourage you guys to consider the Future Scholar program instead. With that said, let me draw your attention to my email at the bottom left hand of the screen. I will remind you guys once more that the admissions for the Future Scholar program are October 1st and October 15th. Once again, do go to the website and download the prospectus. There is a ton of information there that can be far more detailed and comprehensive than what I can possibly do in 20-30 minutes. But with all of that said, I'm going to pause my screen share and open up the floor for questions.